Let's get going. Right, okay, we're getting straight in. Posterior chain today. So this is going to tie in nicely if you've been following along with the kettlebell work. If you've not been following along with the kettlebell work, it doesn't matter. Okay, these are big, powerful, and very daily used muscles, especially if you're doing a lot of the circuits. So a lot of us get a lot of tightness. And what I mean by our posterior chain, it's just the muscles on the back of our body, but more specifically, our hamstrings, our glutes, and our lower back. Those big, powerful muscle groups working together, or they should be working together, which is what we're going to do this morning. We're going to get them overhauled. So first of all, we're going to get straight into the hamstrings. Okay, so you're going to need a chair. You don't, okay, it's the usual. You've probably done this one 100 times, but just in case you're the person that's turned up that hasn't, you're going to need a chair, a coffee table, a stool, something hard, okay? You're going to need a hard surface to sit on. You can do this on the floor, but the problem is you have to do it with your leg completely straight, which isn't that big a problem. It's just not as effective. It doesn't give us as much to play with in terms of moving the leg around, etc. So all I'm doing here is simply getting my ball, okay? I've got my firm surface, and I'm just putting it on my hamstrings. Where do you start? Pretty simple, the bottom of your butt cheeks, okay? The bottom of your glutes, where you start to feel your glutes feed into the hamstrings, that's where we want it, okay? So you don't want it on your butt cheeks, we want it just pretty high up, behind the leg, back of the leg, sorry. Insert on it, and all I want you to do first and foremost is just start, the best thing to do with this one is just rock back and forward as you move the ball side to side, okay? So all I'm doing here is just moving it side to side, looking for areas of high pain, moving it to the, how far do you go? How far do you go? As far as you can, okay? Until that ball is literally away out here, okay? So I want you to take the full width of the hamstring, and all I'm doing is working wide, 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 down my leg, wide, 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 down my leg, looking for areas of high pain. Now, when we're doing the hamstrings, everybody, they're big, thick, dense muscle groups, okay? So as a result, don't skim over it quickly, okay? That's why I'm telling you, just see if you rock back and forward. That's going to help us just get that ball in a bit deeper and try and get into some of those problem areas, because at first appearance, you might think, oh, hamstrings are all right, I can't find any areas of high pain, and that's because we're not quite getting in deep enough. So that's why we need a hard surface to be against right now, because if you've got a soft chair and the ball's just sinking into it, you're not going to get the effect that we're after. So this is up to you, okay? I'm going as wide. Once I've gone one width, I'm going to move down a wee bit further as I'm working towards the knee. But if you find an area of high pain, now this morning it's not a hamstring overhaul, it's a posterior chain, so we're multiple groups, muscle groups this morning. So it's going to be 2 to 3 minutes on each side, okay? So therefore, you want to be concerning yourself with the areas of high pain, okay? Skim over the stuff that feels a wee bit nasty, but the things that make you go, ah! The things that make your facial expression change, okay, from relaxed to, ah! As you often see me do. That's the areas of high pain I want. Now I'm just sat in the side on with this chair because you can see a bit more of what I'm doing. That's the only reason. Okay, and it just gives me a bit more, with this bench anyway, gives me a bit more maneuverability is the word we're after. Right, so let's say you've found an area of high pain, which hopefully by now you've found something at least feeling like it's needing a bit of improvement. You can see I'm just constantly rocking back and forward. That rocking back and forward is acting like me smashing and flossing, because what I'm doing here, I'm pinning that area of high pain, and as I rock back and forward, think about it, what's happening, okay? My hamstrings are lengthening, and then they're shortening, okay? So while I've got them pinned, I'm helping just grind that ball, okay? Remember our old mortar and pestle technique I'm telling you about? That's all we're doing, we're grinding it between bone and ball, and just trying to break up that problem area. Now, if your chair's high enough, like my bench, I said this last time, my bench could do with being a wee bit higher, so it would help me if I propped it up. But if you're fortunate enough to either have short legs or a high seat, okay, you'll be able to completely flex and extend the knee. Now, you can see for me to be able to bring my foot all the way in, I have to lift my leg off the bench, which obviously is not good because that's me taking weight off the ball. So I've still got this little bit of room here I can play with that helps me smash and floss. So by all means, if that's working for you, which it certainly will, especially when you really get that leg straight, the ball gets in there and then you can start moving the leg about. Okay, and like I say, we're just always just trying to get deeper and deeper into a very thick and dense muscle group. So keep working, okay? You know the techniques we're after. We're just simply trying to pin that area of high pain, smash it, floss it, and don't forget we're scrubbing, okay? So little scrubs, and it just depends on how large the area of high pain is. It might be very isolated to maybe the size of the ball, or it might be a large area. So that'll dictate how big the scrubbing is. So we'll go for another 60 seconds, everybody, okay? So keep looking for those areas of high pain. And if your hamstrings feel like they need a hell of a lot of work, make it part of your day, okay? At some point today, no doubt, you'll find yourself farting about, okay? There'll be a moment of time where you find yourself going, oh. Get the ball out and do your hamstrings, right? If you ever find yourself having a brain fart moment where you're not quite sure what you should be doing or what you are doing, do the mobility stuff while you think about it, okay? So throw it into your day. For a lot of us, the hamstrings are pretty painful right now. You're finding a lot of areas of high pain, especially up towards the glutes and probably more so down towards the knee. But it's all, I don't know the correct term, but I would say it would be indirect pain. You don't feel it day to day, but as soon as you start poking around here with a ball, you're shocked at how painful it can be. And just remember, because you can't feel it day to day, if it's feeling pretty matted down and pretty painful, a lot of tight spots, a lot of areas of high pain, that's going to eventually develop into a bigger problem if it's not addressed. So just because you don't feel it in your day to day, keep on top of it, especially if the hamstrings are feeling pretty tender when you're doing this sort of stuff. And especially when we're doing the likes of your hip hinge, as in your kettlebell swing, when we're pushing these hips back and you're struggling, you feel a lot of maybe lack of mobility in your hamstrings. It's also what we're trying to do today. Just trying to restore a bit of suppleness to the hamstrings, get them moving better, get any areas that are tacked down freely flowing, using all the techniques we've got at our disposal, which is simply weight, pressure, force. That's the biggest one, okay? So always trying to get as much weight and force onto the ball as we can. Scrubbing while applying that force, okay? And that scrubbing is just literally, again, imagine you're getting a massage and it's someone's elbow in there just doing little circles. That's what we're kind of trying to do with our scrubbing. Okay, we've got our smash and floss, which usually if there's a joint nearby, we can control the smash and floss by flexing or extending the knee or the hip or the elbow, wherever we're working. Or in this case, we can also do a bit of smash and flossing by leaning forwards and backwards, which I would say is probably the most effective one, because you can really, by leaning forwards, you can really open up those hamstrings and get stuck in there. Right, okay, I know I said a minute, but where are we at? You want to spend a wee bit longer on this one? How are we feeling on live? Let's have viewer feedback. Yeah, let's do it then. Okay, so I'll give us another minute. That should hopefully give you enough time to venture closer down towards the knee. And again, for a lot of people, as you start to approach the knee, what I don't want you to do is, I don't want you to foam roll behind the kneecap, okay? So I don't want you to foam roll on the crease of the joint, but take it as far down as you like, okay? But just stay off the crease of that joint. But if you're on a chair, you shouldn't be able to do that anyway. But a lot of us will probably find a lot of high pain as we get closer to the knee. Okay, and again, if you're getting knee pain, you might be getting pain in the knee. It could be the front, could be the back. But I know for me, if I'm getting pain in the knee, I just look at all the muscle groups that feed into that knee. We've got the calves below, we've got the quads feeding in at the front, we've got the hamstrings feeding in at the rear. So the first thing I would do is explore those muscle groups and see if there's any areas of high pain, any matted down, knotted muscle tissue that's just not quite doing its job too well. And that might be causing my knee pain. It might be, okay? I'm certainly no professional to diagnose any knee problems, but my first protocol always is this stuff. If I'm getting a niggle in a joint, or if I'm getting a niggle in a muscle group, I get on that muscle group, but also up, down, side to side muscle groups to see if there's a great problem, which is usually high pain. You'll know straight away. You'll be like, bloody hell, this is hellish, this is horrible. And I didn't even know about it until I got on here. Right, start finishing up there. We're going to change legs, okay? If you want to stand up, by all means stand up. If you need a sip of water, get one. But we're going to change legs. Where you start's up to yourself, okay? I'm telling you to start at the glutes. Sorry, just below the glutes. If you want to start further down the knee, because that's where you're getting a lot of problems, then go for it. This is your mobility class, remember. I'm just trying to point you in the right direction, but it's very much going to be specific to you and where you're getting the pain and discomfort and problems. So, area of high pain, remember the first and most important technique I think you can do is force, pressure, okay? Get as much weight down on there as you can, but try to maintain that muscle in a relaxed state, okay? So yep, you might be able to just go hell for leather. You might have a high pain threshold, for example, and you can just go rah with all your might, but the muscle's not going to be relaxed, okay? It's going to be all tense. It's going to be a mess. So that's why I would say just gradually start. As you're rocking back and forward on that area, what feels like potential high pain or high pain, just start rocking back and forward and start trying to apply more pressure. Now you can push down, as you can kind of see I'm doing here. I'm pushing down. But more than anything, I'm just trying to get as much weight on that ball as I can. And once I feel I've got a good bit of force and weight down to that, onto that ball, and this goes for any muscle group, once I feel I've got a good bit of weight pushing down there and a good bit of force, then I start my scrubbing, because my scrubbing is going to be much more effective, excuse me, if I'm getting a lot more weight on that ball and I'm managing to maintain a nice relaxed state. So remember, there's no set order, but I would always say start with just trying to get as much weight on there as you can. Little scrubs to really get in deep into the muscle tissue. And then from there you can start trying different things, such as your smash and floss, which, again, it really depends where you are, how effective that is. But when you're smashing and flossing, let's say you straighten your leg out and it feels a lot more painful. Keep your leg straight for a bit while you scrub, while you push more weight down, because you've obviously opened up that problem area all the more to get more access into it. So if you feel there's more pain and discomfort when you move your leg in a certain position, hold it there for a bit. But remember, rule number one, and the biggest rule is, do not go through the motions, because you really are wasting your time with this. It might feel nice if you're just giving it a little 50%. It feels almost like someone's giving you a nice massage. If that's what you're doing, you're really not getting anything from it other than, you know, it might be relaxing for you at this moment in time. In terms of results, you really are wasting your time, everybody. So that's why you have to be proactive. That's why I'll say you don't turn up to mobility and flexibility for an easy morning, a chilled morning, because it's certainly not that, okay? Maybe if it's just flexibility, kind of. But when it comes to this stuff, nah. Far from relaxing, I'm sure you'll agree. Good, so keep going, keep working. Okay, I'll give you another 90 seconds, so we'll go for another minute and a half, and hopefully that gives you enough time to just venture further down towards the knee. But again, if you've got a set area that's causing you problems, stay on it, okay? It's better to spend more time on that area to try and get an improvement in that area than to brush over each area, okay? So come back to it. If you go, right, okay, I never quite get a chance to spend a lot of time on the lower hamstrings towards my knee, but there's a lot of pain in there, bookmark it in your head. Right, I'm going to do it later. And do it later, okay? Don't say you're going to do something and then you don't do it. And again, with the likes of this one, depends on the type of chair you've got, but if you're sat about, chilling out, watching telly, sitting at the dinner table, you could be doing this while you're eating your dinner. Or you could be doing it while you're working away or whatever you're doing, okay? So even just simply getting the ball, sitting on it, putting as much force onto that area of high pain and just pinning it while you do something else. It becomes much more effective if you can manage to fit this into your day rather than around your day, rather than saying, I better do mobility, but I don't have the time. I guarantee if you evaluate your day, there'll be plenty of moments where you could probably have implemented it quite easily into other activities that you've been doing. So get it done, everybody. Let's give these hamstrings, because usually we kind of don't get that much time on the hamstrings. So we'll give you a wee bit extra today. Get it done. Good work. Right, start thinking about finishing up there. I want you to grab your resistance band, and all we're going to do this morning is smash an area and then stretch the area. Okay, so we're doing the mobility straight into the flexibility so that we can keep a top of each muscle group and put it to bed one at a time. So I want you to get your resistance band. If you do not have a resistance band, use a towel, okay? A bigger towel's better. A band's better, but a towel works just fine. You're going to hook it round the ball of the foot. You're familiar with this one. All I'm trying to do is keep my hips nice and level on the ground. Other leg, I want that leg switched off, dead weight, okay? So we shouldn't have the knee of the other leg sitting up like that. Get it down, get it flat. I want you to take up a decent bit of tension in the band, and all we're doing is lying back. Now, I want you to just come off the stretch a wee bit, so don't go straight in hardcore. Come off the stretch a wee bit just to get your body set up in a decent position. There's no sense in being up like this, tense, working the core, getting everything all tired. Get yourself in a nice relaxed position, pull the shoulder blades together, then get up, get a decent bit of pull and resistance on your band, pull it down, okay? So we feel that foot and those toes getting pulled towards us. Straight away, you'll feel that stretch into your calf, which is going to help pull those hamstrings further and get a better stretch straight off the bat. From here, switch the stretch on by just moving the leg back straight, straight, straight until you feel you can't move it any further. Do not let your knee bend, and all I'm going to do is focus on my breathing. Big deep breaths. And I would say every so often, just try to keep that leg straight and take it a wee bit further. With this stretch, it's very uncomfortable, especially when you start really going for it. But trust me, you can probably take it further than you are. Okay, so try to be proactive with this one. We're only holding it for a couple of minutes and we're already 45 seconds into it. So make sure you're taking it further. You're developing your end range. You're not easing in and out. You're not farting about. You're holding that stretch and you're trying to take it further and further and further in a safe manner. But there's going to be a large level of discomfort with this. If you're really going for it and you're really stretching those muscles out to the max, it's not going to be the most relaxing thing in the world. Really pull that band down. You'll feel it enhance the stretch. And that's why we're using it. Or if you've got a towel, just make sure you've got a good pull out. "45 seconds, take it as far as you can. Really go for it now. Try to improve. And you'll know you're really going for it. Trust me, you'll know. Try to stay relaxed. Try not to start shaking, because that is us not relaxed. Make sure the knee is locked out. Good. Right, ease out of that slowly. Change legs. So same again. If you've got a lot of resistance in the band, it's normal for your hands and hands to get tired or your wrists to get tired. So shake them out, okay, if you're feeling them getting tired, because they will. If you've got a thick resistance band and you've got a good bit of pull on it, then of course your hands will start to get tired. So the other leg is completely dead, completely flat on the ground. I've got the ball hooked around the ball of my foot, I've got the band hooked around the ball of my foot. Decent bit of tension, but I'm just simply going to lie back, ease out the stretch a bit just to get myself set up in a good quality position. Take up a decent bit of resistance, a decent pull of the band. Make sure the feet are relaxed, and then you go for it. You take it to that point where you feel a good stretch and build on it. Okay, so I want you to relax. Decent bit of tension on that band. Make sure your toes are being pulled towards you and you're not fighting the resistance band. Make sure your knee is locked out and try to take it further and further and further. Good work, we're nearly there, so you go for it. Take it as far as you can. Good. I want you to slowly ease out of that. Good work. And you can put your resistance band to one side and we'll get on to the glutes. So all we need now is your small little massage ball. And we go for it. So again, this should all be pretty familiar to most. But I'm taking the ball, putting it there, and I'm sitting on it. Okay, simple as that. Now you'll probably find your arms are going to, pardon me, you'll probably find your arms are going to take a good bit of weight, okay? Because your glutes might be pretty tender. All I want you to do is start with the ball at what feels like the center of your glutes, and you'll probably feel it hitting that pelvis, okay? You probably feel it hitting the bone. And all I want you to do is just start your little circles from the center. Imagine those spiral things that you look at, you know, those things that hypnotize you. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Good. So imagine you're doing one of them. You're going down a helter-skelter with the ball. I want you to start at the center point of your glutes and go wider and wider and wider. And all I'm doing here is just getting to know how my glutes are feeling today. Okay, I'm looking for areas of high pain until you're eventually working around the perimeter of your glutes. And then all I want you to do is just start again, but go to those areas of high pain that you felt. Okay, so find an area of high pain. First of all I'm trying to do is just find the bang center of it, so things are feeling a bit tender. Where's the real problem area? Okay, that's getting worse, oh, there it is, right. So all I'm going to do now is start to apply as much force as I can. Little scrubs with this one, okay? Especially the glutes. We get a lot of knotted up muscle tissue in the glutes. So what I want you to do is try to little scrubs of the ball to try and relax them, okay? And you should feel that you're sitting onto the ball more and taking a bit more weight off your arms. But that depends how severe things are, okay? As long as you're applying a lot of weight to that ball, you're trying to keep the glutes relaxed and you're smashing it. And don't forget, you can change position of your leg. So you might find that by having your legs straight, it hits them more, but for most people, you'll get it more when you bring the knee up, okay? So see when you bring the knee up, cross the leg by all means, okay? It's all dependent on where you're working. If you want to cross the leg and get on there, but I'm not quite there. Try to relax, try not to have your face screwed up in pain and agony for 2 minutes. Try to focus on your breathing. But the more pain and discomfort you can handle with this, the better, okay? So change your position by all means to enhance the stretch. For a lot of us, bringing that knee up like we've often done opens up the glutes a bit more, and I'll let you get into them a bit more. Now this is a general glute overhaul, so if you find a lot of pain and problems on the outer glutes, go there, okay? Because we're only doing the glutes with this variation today. So it's about you finding your areas of high pain. And if you're not finding any areas of high pain as such, remember that's not a bad thing. You can't find something that's not there. Just be thorough and make sure you're definitely getting on the ball properly and you're relaxed enough. But if you're not finding any areas of high pain and it just feels like almost, you know, not nice, but it feels like it's doing you some good, just give the whole area a good scrub. Work around the entire glutes and just think of it as simply feeding some goodness back into that muscle group. There doesn't always have to be areas of high pain, but quite often or not, the muscle groups that we do often are those big muscle groups that get hammered daily. And as a result, there usually is areas of high pain. But if you're scanning around and you're like, I can't find any high areas of high pain, sorry, there might not be any, okay? And if there's not, great. That's what our end goal is. Again, make sure you're not just kind of half-arsedly sitting on the ball, not putting much weight on it, just rolling back and forward going, oh, I wouldn't put any more on that. That'd be hellish if I did. Get into it, okay? Really go for it. 30 more seconds to put some goodness back into this muscle group, okay? So get it done. And again, it's specific to you where you go. There's no sense in just replicating me and what I'm doing. But remember, we're smashing floss, get that knee going, pull the knee up, pin that area of high pain, bend and stretch the knee, okay, and that'll help. It'll only work if you're pinning that muscle down into the ball with a decent bit of force. And all we're doing there is just lengthening and stretching, lengthening and shortening the muscle group. Good. Right, let's change. Okay, if you want to get up, by all means get up. What I recommend you do if you're new to doing the glutes, stand up, squeeze your butt cheeks as if you're doing a glute bridge, okay, or if you're trying to lock the hips out when you're doing a squat. And you should feel that the side that you've just smashed should be contracting a lot harder. There should be a bit more power unlocked. It'll be a lot more functional as a muscle group, okay? You'll feel that in difference straight away when you do it if you've done it properly, okay? Now, you don't have to do that, but it's something I recommend you do if you've not really done it before. When you smash one side, try contracting them by squeezing the butt cheeks together when you're stood up, and you should feel the one that you've just smashed feels like it's just switched on a hell of a lot more. And that's a good way to show you the power of what we're doing now and the effect it has on our body, okay? Our bodies could be capable of working a hell of a lot more efficiently, a lot harder, a lot more powerful, but we're not putting any goodness back into them to allow them to do such a thing. That's where this steps in, mobility and flexibility. Although we're not pushing our bodies to the limit, and we're not breathing hard, rolling around in the floor, struggling. This allows us to do such a thing to a whole new level. Helps keep us injury free. Helps get to know our body as well. I think that's the biggest one that I like about this. You get to know your body by doing this stuff weekly, daily. You get to know your problem areas, and problem areas, as I'm sure you know, come and go. Okay, you'll get a problem in one area, you manage to get on top of it, you manage to find the cause of the problem if you're lucky enough, and you address that problem, and eventually something else will probably creep in. But hopefully, if you've been doing this stuff regular, you've now got the knowledge to do just that, to keep on top of your body. Just keep trying to tell yourself, go for it. Get as much weight on that ball as you can. Take as much pain and discomfort as you can. Sensibly, of course. The type of pain and discomfort you expect to feel. But again, I would like to think that's common sense. Right, we've smashed the glutes. Let's stretch the glutes with the one that we hate, but we know it's damn good for us, okay? This is going to address the glutes big time, but also it's going to open up the hips if your hips are tight. It's going to open up your hips if your hips are tight. This is going to be uncomfortable. If you do it regular, little and often, it won't be uncomfortable. Let's go for it. We're going to sit down. Okay, now my mat is for my back leg, not so much my front leg. Okay, but if you've got nice, huge mats or you've got a nice comfy floor, all the better. So the first leg, the leg out at the front, 90 degrees. Okay, I'm trying to get a 90-degree bend. In this part here, I'm trying to maintain it in that position. Okay, so to do that, I recommend you grab a hold of the foot, and when you get up, get this hand and pin it in front of the knee, and that's going to stop the knee going forward, and this is going to stop that sliding back, because it'll be a combination of, you'll start to get into the movement. If things are that tight, this will happen to your leg, okay, and you'll think you're in a good position. You won't feel a stretch, when in actual fact you're in a very bad position. So we're trying to keep this here so that we can keep the hips opened up. So straight away, I'm getting up, okay, and that back leg is on the ground. So think of it almost like you're trying to get in a full press up position with your leg underneath you. I've got my hand in front of my knee now to stop my knee jamming forward. I've got this foot pinned. Now, if your knee's up in the air, get it down on the ground. Simple. Get it down on the ground. Get it down on the ground. If your knees are way up like this, if your knees are way up like this and you're struggling to get it down first, okay? And you can see my back leg from the angle that I'm showing you here. You can see my back leg's are way out here. It's not in the midline of my body. That's going to allow you to get that knee down and then start creeping that leg back into the centre. And as you do, you're going to feel it all starting to get a good stretch. But see, if you're that tight, if you're that jammed up tight, you're going to struggle to get into it in the first place. And what you would say, keep doing the stretch, okay? And if you're not doing the stretch on a daily basis and you're really bad at it, don't moan to me, okay? Don't hurl the gestures at me because your mobility's poor and you're doing nothing about it to get it better. Yeah? Yeah, well, suck it up then. Right, okay. Let's do it. So it's not a nice one, this one. For a lot of people, it's pretty uncomfortable. But we shouldn't be getting pain in the knee. For a lot of us, we can put a lot of strain on the knee. So that's what I would say, be careful. All I'm doing here, from this position, because you can't see what I'm doing, is I'm feeling a hell of a stretch in at my glutes, in at my hip area. And I'm trying to focus on my breathing and relax. Now, obviously, that's something you can't see, but I'm slowly trying to think about that muscle group. I want you to think about the hip area, the glutes. Think about that muscle group. Think about trying to relax and sink into the ground and let gravity take control. Once you feel you've got a decent bit of relaxation in the hip, because if it's that bad, you'll find that it's tense, it's fighting it. You're not in a nice, comfortable position after all. Focus on your breathing. And then if you're able to, you can get down onto the elbows to enhance the stretch, which is going to allow you to push down more. But remember, you mustn't let this leg move, okay? If you go down onto the elbows and that foot starts to slide in towards your groin, you're defeating the purpose here. So by getting down, okay, you're going to feel a hell of a stretch. Now, depending on how you've got that back leg, it's perfectly normal to feel a hell of a stretch into the groin, hip flexor area there too. But don't give in to the stretch, is what I'm saying, okay? It's very easy to just let this stretch. If it's that tight, you'll start to default into a position that's comfortable, and it usually is that front leg will start sliding underneath your body, which we don't want. Play around with the stretch. You know the position. Move around within it if you like. Good, and we're going to ease out of that one. And that is that side done. Oof, that's feeling pretty damn tight today. So that can be a nasty one, and it's one of those stretches that we think, oh, I don't want to do that one because it's hard, it's uncomfortable. Okay, just get it done. It's as simple as that. Just get it done. And I recommend you do it more often. Find something you really struggle with when you do the mobility classes, and you'll find quickly if you just do it daily, you'll get better at it pretty damn quick. Right, so leg out, 90 degrees, same again. I'm going to get up, full press up position almost. Get this arm in front of my knee so it can't go anywhere. And straight away you'll see this side, because this side's always pretty tight for me. If I wasn't to put that there, you can see that my foot just starts to slide underneath. Okay, and then I'm away down here looking like and feeling like I've got a good stretch, a good position, when I don't, okay? So you must keep this leg out. Hand in front of the knee to stop it sliding forward, hand on the foot to stop it sliding back, and then try to get that back leg into the midline of your body, as in the center, and find the stretch. You can see I'm pretty high up, this side's pretty damn tight. So this is my starting point. Everything's feeling pretty jammed, it's feeling not very relaxed. Focus on my breathing. I try to get that area to relax, let gravity sink me into the ground, and start trying to enhance the stretch as I can and when I can. You're pushing down, okay? You're pushing down into the ground. But you must keep that hip area relaxed. And that takes a bit of work and a bit of thought to do just that. So by all means, move around within the stretch. You're keeping that static stretch the whole time, but if you move around and you can feel that you can enhance it somehow, do so. Good. Right. Oh my word, let's ease out of that one. So I recommend you stand up and shake out, because that is quite a restricted position for most. So get up, move around, shake your legs out, see how you feel, and let's move on to our lower back area. So you're going to need a bench, a chair, a sofa, a means of raising up your feet. And again, for most of us, you're more than familiar with all this stuff by now. It's the lower back smash. Okay, so I want my feet propped up. I want my feet propped up purely because it's going to let me get in a safer position, but also a more effective position. So here I am. This is all I want. Okay, how you look depends on the height of the seat or platform or whatever you're using, but this is kind of essential, and I'm sure most of you can find somewhere around the house to do this. We're getting the ball, okay, and all I'm doing is I'm putting it on my lower back, and I want you to put it not on the spine, but just off to the side, and it has to be above the pelvis. So straight away, I would tell you to put it on those big thick muscles that run up either side of your spine and your lower back. The ones that often feel like the ones that you've pulled when you pull out your lower back. Okay, and I want you just to start scrubbing. All we're going to be doing here, again, we're doing this more unfamiliar with most people. You've got the choice. You can follow the crest of the pelvis, so you can continue to work and smash along the area just above the pelvis. And you'll feel the pelvis, because if you let the ball roll down towards your butt, you shouldn't even let it roll much, and it should just hit the pelvis. Okay, that's the area I want you to be working on. Or if those quadris lumboris muscles, those QL muscles, the thick ones, I always talk about these when we do lower back, those thick muscles that run up either side of your spine, okay, they feel real thick, almost can feel like bone if they're that jammed up tight. If they're feeling pretty naughty, go up them, follow them up, okay, towards your rib cage, and just work on them. That's where it's up to you. You can go up along them, or you can work along the crest of your pelvis to the outside of your hip, wherever you feel you need to work. And remember, we're in this position. Rather than rolling into a silly position, just keep putting your hand under there and moving the ball manually as you scrub. We don't want to be rolling on the spine, so stay away from the spine. But if you are working those big, thick QL muscles, make sure that you give them a good scrub, because you'll find that if they are that tense and tight and knotted, they can just feel like a solid structure, and the ball just kind of grind over the top of them, and it almost pops off. Keep working them. Try to make them supple. Try to get them to relax, and you'll find that you'll probably find a decent bit of discomfort in there. Okay, now, safety notice. Pelvis. Don't let the pelvis tilt, as in don't let your lower back overextend. So you shouldn't feel like your spine's starting to lift up, as if it's been pulled up through your belly button. We should always keep the pelvis off the ground. Your butt may be on the ground, but there shouldn't be any weight on it. And basically, you shouldn't be curving. Okay, so this lower back should not be curving. So that's why we need a wee bit of tension in the core as we scrub and as we work this area. So you know the area we're working on. We're working on one side, and then I'll tell you when to change, okay? So don't feel you have to change in your own time. Keep working on this one side. Now, with the knees, because you've got your feet raised, you're going to get more weight down on the ball, but what I also recommend you try, if you find a painful spot, get the knee, either pull the knee into your chest, or just simply lift the leg up. By lifting the leg up like I'm showing you now, you're going to get a lot more weight down, or even just simply bringing the knee up a wee bit, okay? You might just be able to get a better position for smashing it. So play around with the positions. Don't forget to move your leg around. That's going to help things. It's going to change how you transfer the weight onto the ball, but also it may just open up that muscle tissue a little bit more. So if you've decided to venture up either side of the spine, you're taking it until you hit the rib cage, okay? So if you picture your skeleton, or you picture a skeleton, if you think of the lower back, okay, if you think of the rib cage, then the spine continues below the rib cage where it's exposed in that lumbar region. So there's no rib cage around it in your lower back, okay? If you picture that area, that's the area at which we're smashing if you're going up. As soon as you hit the rib cage, you'll know, because you'll just start feeling like you're hitting this hard, bony structure behind the ball. I would tell you, you'll no need to go any higher. So that's how high you go. So you've actually got quite a decent bit of height to travel up and smash along. Good work. But if you're falling along the crest of the pelvis, you take it as far out as you can, so you'll find that you can get right onto the outer hip. Or you might be doing a bit of both, and that's fine also. Okay, we're going to change sides. So you don't really need to get up for this one, but if you feel you need to, if you're a wee bit doolally, lightheaded, etc., by all means get up. But all I need to do, if I'm still in a decent position, which I am, just move the ball to the other side, just off to the side of the spine. Find the top of your pelvis, okay? Find that crest of your pelvis. So roll the ball down towards your butt until you hit that prominent bone, which you'll feel. That's your pelvis, okay? So now you've got the choice. You can continue scrubbing where you are now, which most of us will do. Working that side of your QL muscle. Smash it, trying to feel if you can get in a bit deeper, if there's problem areas there. And you can continue following that big thick muscle group up your spine towards your rib cage, or you can start to venture out along the crest of that pelvis. And if you are following the crest of the pelvis, it is simple. You're just trying to ride along the top of it. Don't delve down into the glutes. So for those who struggle, see when we're doing a warm-up and I'm always telling you to push your hips back, 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 back to try and touch the ground while maintaining that neutral spine. If you struggle to do that, that's where today's class is going to help, okay? And it's not just a case of you do the class and that is you sorted. You do the class, you find out your problems, the areas that you're finding, and that might be all of them, probably is to some degree. So you need to do it little and often, and you'll feel big improvements pretty damn quickly when you do. It's going to help you have a more effective kettlebell swing. Make sure all these muscle groups are firing on all cylinders, because these are the big drivers. And if you've done yesterday's kettlebell class, depending on what weight you used, or depending on how often you do kettlebells, etc., you might find that this whole area that we've done this morning is pretty tender. Especially the lower back for a lot of people. But the biggest tip I'll give you, if you're doing your lower back and if you are traveling up either side of your spine, you really have to kind of smash this muscle group into a relaxed state. Don't give up on it straight away, because you'll find that it just takes a little bit of work for you to really get in deep into that muscle tissue to start to expose potential areas of high pain. When at first sight, you can just roll on it and it just feels fine. You can move the leg, you can lift the leg, play around with your position. Always try and enhance it. Proactive, be proactive. Good work. Right, we're done on that one, everyone. Right, we're going to stretch out the lower back specifically. So you need a mat. You definitely need a mat or a decent carpet to be on. This does not work on a hard floor because your spine is going to just open up. It's going to be exposed. So if you don't have a comfortable backdrop, something to lie on, get one now, okay? If your mat's pretty thin, you're still going to have the same problem. What we're going to be doing is pulling the knees up to the chest. So as a result, you're going to be exposing the spine to the surface. And if you're on a hard floor, it's just going to feel nasty, okay? So all I want you to do and what we want to be, the reason why I'm telling you to get a mat, we need to be comfortable. So when that spine is exposed, okay, I don't start rolling off to the side, because rolling off to the side off of my spine is going to put more emphasis on one side than the other, which you'll feel. So all I want you to do is simply lie flat on your back, bring your knees up, and I want you, rather than just hold your knees, I want you to bear hug your knees. So bring your knees up, get your forearms so that your forearms are pulling your knees down, and lock it off, get a good grip of your own wrist. Squeeze the hell of your wrist, lie back, and all I'm trying to do is pull these knees into my chest, and you've tried to find a relaxed state here, okay? Now, if things are jammed up tight in your lower back, you'll feel a lot of tension, you'll feel a lot of resistance there. What I want you to imagine that you're doing is getting your tailbone, I want you to try and get your tailbone to sink towards the ground, okay? So you'll find that your tailbone, the lower part of your spine, is off the ground. I want you to visualize, close your eyes, focus on your breathing, and each deep breath you do, imagine that tailbone slowly dropping down while you pull these knees into the chest, and that should help things relax. Okay, what we're doing here is flexing, or trying to flex, that lumbar part of the spine, which I've explained before, should be able to move. That spine should be able to move freely, but the muscle groups around it get pretty jammed up tight, and as a result, we lose a lot of mobility in our lower back, which is not good. Okay, so this is a good way to try and restore it by pulling the knees up and forcing that lower back into flexion, pulling the knees in, trying to relax. And it just really depends how tight you are. For some it will feel all right, for others it will feel good, for others it will feel pretty damn uncomfortable. But try your best to relax. And if it does feel like you're really lacking range in that area, do this often. You can also do it if you're sat in a seat, okay? If you're sat down, again on the sofa, just try and reach down between your legs and try to touch the floor, okay? And you'll find that you can do the same kind of movement pattern while you're sat down, doing your day-to-day thing. But we lose a lot of range. A lot of us lose a lot of range here. And that spine loses the ability to flex and extend easily. And that's where we get a lot of tightness in the lower back. Good. Right, I want you to ease out, but rather than ease out, I want you to ease out just into a glute bridge, okay? The reason being, you'll find that your hip flexors were jammed up tight there, and they feel a little bit tender. So I just want you to ease out into a very casual glute bridge, stretch it out, and then just relax out of it. Woofed. Good work. So that's one I would recommend you just, that's easy, okay? That's an easy stretch. You can throw it into your day. If you're sat on a chair, sat on the sofa, okay? Another way to do it, not as effective because you don't have gravity so much on your sides, is if you just sat like this, just try and touch your palms flat on the floor, okay? Tuck the chin in, and you'll feel it. Again, it depends on the seat you're on, depends on the height of the seat, etc., how effective that is. But if you're just sat down, again, doing your thing, and this is just ways of trying to bring mobility into your day-to-day, rather than you having to think to yourself, you've got to sit down, get your mat out, do all this and that, and have an hour set aside. You can throw it into your day. Just simply tuck the chin in, try to touch the floor, take it further out. All you're trying to do is get that area into flexion, as in curve the spine around on itself. That is all we're after. Right, okay, we're getting there this morning. We're getting a lot done. This is fun. Right, fun? You're having a laugh. Right, we're getting the obliques done. The obliques. Why the obliques? Because if these obliques are getting pretty damn tight and they're pulling, where are they going to be pulling? They're going to be pulling on that lower back. So a lot of us just disregard the oblique muscles, okay, when in actual fact it can also be causing a good bit of tightness feeding into our lower back. So with the obliques, again, you're maybe familiar with it. If you are, get stuck in. If you're not, look at my body position right now, okay? All I'm doing here is putting this foam roller into that cavity, okay? I'm on the side, I've got my rib cage at the top, I've got my pelvis at the bottom, you've got that hollow cavity, okay? All I'm trying to do is just lie on it. Feels pretty uncomfortable. Yep, it's not the nicest. Hopefully you've not just had your breakfast. And all I want you to do is simply just start rolling side to side. Now for most of us, again, depends on your foam roller, depends on your anatomical makeup. most of us will find that this foam roller fits in there just about perfectly, okay? We don't really have much room to go up and down. You might find that, you know, maybe I've got an inch or two, to be honest, to go up and down, which will let me scrub. Some of you might have more, some of you might have less. Some of you might just feel that that foam roller's taking up that full cavity, and that's fine. All I want you to do is roll back, 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 and you'll do it. You're basing it off a feel. How far back do you go? You don't want the spine on the foam roller, okay? And then I want you to roll forward. Now, to take this stretch to the right position, what you need to do is take the weight off this arm. So get that arm nice and straight, and then you'll start to feel it. Yep. So all I want you to do is just simply smash those obliques into that foam roller. Now remember the technique. You find an area of high pain, which most of us will feel as we start to roll back. Get as much weight down on there, get as much force down on there, scrub it. See if you have got room to scrub up and down slightly. Some of us might just find that we've got a little bit to roll up and down to add a bit of a more effective scrub in. Everybody's different. You might find this one all right, but I'm pretty sure for a lot of us, you'll find a decent bit of tightness and maybe even surprised. So you can see how close this is to a lower back, especially when we start getting round further closer to the lower back. So if there is a lot of tightness in with obliques, where do you think it's going to start pulling on? So smash them, get on them, pin them. Remember, we're just trying simply to smash that muscle group into the foam roller, and you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just side to side, feeling the teeth of the foam roller just getting in there and just breaking up all that horrible muscle tissue. But you need to keep a fairly proud chest as you're doing it, because if you start to drop, what happens? You start to drop your rib cage and you start to close that hollow cavity. You start to give yourself less space if you start to lean forward like so, which you'll feel, because you'll feel the bottom of your rib cage start to grate along the foam roller. Right, okay, we're going to change sides. How's that feeling on live? It's a bit of an awkward one, okay, I'll give you it. It's a bit of an awkward one. But if you get it right, you should find it's pretty damn effective. So same again, I'm lying side on, getting it, foam roller. Pretty obvious where it goes, it just slots in there, doesn't it? There we go, boom, we're in it. So all I want you to do is just start off, break yourself in gently, okay? That's why I'm in a fairly relaxed position. Legs aren't quite straight yet, arms not quite straight yet. Just trying to see what I've got to deal with. Okay, it's pretty tender, so I'm going to start introducing a bit more weight gradually by straightening the arm out, which is going to let more weight get onto that foam roller. And as you roll side to side, keep chest proud. And you know straight away if you don't, because you'll start to close down that rib cage onto the foam roller. So find where it feels tender, if it even is, which for most people I'm sure it is, probably further back. And just simply smash them, floss them into that foam roller, and just get stuck into it. But this one will feel a bit more awkward. Maybe it doesn't feel as pleasant because we don't have bone as such. It's a much more hollow area, isn't it? Whereas when you're doing the quads, you've obviously got the femur to back it up. You've got a solid bit of bone mass behind the foam roller, in between the foam roller, sorry, to grind that muscle tissue. But with this, we don't quite have that on this area because it really is. It's just your abdomen. It's hollow. No rib cage supporting it. It's just a big cavity full of your organs. Okay, we're done. We're done. Had enough. Right, let's ease out of that one. Right, okay, so that's another good one that you might not think about doing that might just be the thing that all of a sudden starts to free up a bit of tightness in your lower back area, okay? Right, final one for today. You ready for it? It's a new one. It's not a new one, we've done it a while ago. Now this is more of, it's a good mobility drill to do to assess how you're progressing with your hip mobility, okay? So it's a good one to keep doing. It's a very good one to do to, oh, just do it. Just shut up, I'm going again. Right, I want you to imagine you've got your leg out like it's a glute stretch, but you can see I'm sat differently. I've got that leg out roughly at 90 degrees, roughly, this one. I want you to get this one, put this foot so that your toes are still facing forwards. My ankle is just above the knee, so you should feel like it's wedged. Yep, straight away, you might feel a lot of tightness here. Yep, you might feel a lot of tightness in the glutes. What you must do with this stretch is keep this knee on the floor and see see the butt, the hips that you're on just now. The side of the hips that's on the floor is in your left leg if you're me, okay? You must keep that on the floor. Now what I want you to do is try to sit yourself up nice and straight, nice and proud, nice and central. Okay, so I'm not off to the side. Yep, that's part one. You think that's bad. Do not move this foot. Do not let this foot slide in. Now, I've got my left hip, my left leg on the floor. So I'm going to take my left arm. I'm going to put it up nice and straight. Okay, and I'm no master of this movement, as you're about to see. And what I want you to do is don't let this move. Don't let this come out of position. And what I want you to do is sit up nice and tall, nice and proud, nice and straight. Yep. Now imagine someone's came along and they've built a wall right close up to your nose and right close up to your back. So you cannot start to lean forward. You can't slouch. And what I want you to do is start leaning that way, okay, with that straight arm. And I want you to keep focusing on your breathing. The other arm's supporting you. Keep moving it to enhance the stretch. But remember, I don't want to fall back and I don't want to fall forward and I don't want my spine to start slouching. Don't slouch on this one. This is a good assessor to see how you're progressing. So it's a good one to keep practicing. But also, as you can feel now, it's a good one for opening up the hips. It's a very good one for opening up the hips. We're going to hold it for another 30 seconds. I want you to get those arms straight. A lot of us are like this. You know, we're not chilling out here. Yep, get the arm up nice and straight, lean. Feel that stretch. Keep the chest proud. Focus on it. Pretty uncomfortable for a lot of people, this one, me included. I dread to do the other side. It's always the worst. Okay, relax. Ease out slowly. Creak, snap, pop, bang, good. Right. Right, change legs. So, what am I? I'm on the right leg now. So I'm on my right leg, okay? So right leg out at front, I'm sitting on that hip, so it's just a similar setup to doing my glute stretch. Then I get my foot, put it across. So at this moment in time, I'm not under any considerable stress, but for a lot of people straight away in this position, it'll be pretty uncomfortable. Make sure that foot's pinned, so it's not going to slide anywhere. You with me? From here, sit yourself up nice and tall, nice and proud, nice and straight, central, okay? From here, this is where a lot of people, if you're pretty tight in the hip, you'll feel it straight away. The hip that's on the ground, good. There's one person in particular on this live stream that's really suffering with this one. And to be honest, that's why we're doing it, because I just want to see how miserable you are when we do this one. Yes, yes, good. Okay, so, so this is for you. Everybody else, you're getting the benefit also. So right, I've got my leg in that position first and foremost. For a lot of us, you're going to feel a hell of a stretch. Remember now, I want you to get your right, so I'm on my right leg. I'm going to get my right arm up. Okay, so that's what's straight away. Pretty nasty. Try to get yourself into a good position here. And when I say a good position, I don't mean a comfortable position. I mean a good position. So I'm struggling with this side. This side's pretty damn tight. So straight away, it's showed me the problem. It's trying to pull me. It's trying to throw me over this way because it's so tight. So you'll be feeling maybe something similar. We keep that knee on the ground. We get in a good position. We get up nice and tall, nice and proud. Someone's came along. Boom, they've built a wall. Okay, so now I can't lean forward. They've built a wall behind me. I can't lean back. Don't slouch. Don't slouch. Pretty uncomfortable? Yes, good. Yes. Enjoy it. Good work, let's get the chest proud. Don't let the hips sink. Yep. Good, yep, fantastic. Keep shouting at the screen. Good job, I don't know what you're saying. There we go. Good position here. Striving to get better. Always striving to improve our weaknesses. Working on them daily. Working on them daily. Yes, let's do it. Breathe, let's relax. Good, beautiful. So this is one I recommend you do, little and often. Ease out when you're ready. Now what I want you to do is stand up. Try to do a squat, try to walk around, and you should feel straight away why it's called a hip opener. Okay? Because you're going to have a new lease of life in these hips now. Almost crazy, like, whoa, let's go dancing. Aye, right. So try it. See how things feel. Do your hips feel more mobile? They should, okay? You should definitely feel, are you walking around in your living room like this? Right, okay, shake out. Hopefully you feel the benefit of that this morning, okay? All in all, we're trying to improve the posterior chain. I'm standing away back here hoping you can see me because I've got that camera down low. Posterior chain, so the muscle groups we've been working on this morning are hamstrings, glutes and lower back. These are the ones that are responsible for letting us achieve this, okay? So if you're nice and tall, nice and proud, your spine remains neutral, you push your hips back, you should be able to touch the ground while maintaining a neutral spine. But for a lot of us, we lack mobility and range either in the hamstrings, the glutes or the lower back or a bit of everything, and we can't, so we then have to break form to reach the ground. So when we're doing things like kettlebell swings and you're pushing those hips back, if you're struggling in that end range to actually get the muscle groups into that position, that's when we start doing all sorts of horrible things with our body. We look like me, or we start to overextend when we come up. We've got weakness and imbalance and all sorts going on. So today's a very important one, not just in terms of exercise, but life in general. Okay, if we've got problems and weakness in these muscle groups and they're not moving well, okay, they're going to affect how you move, how you exercise, how you pick things up, etc. And they're going to put a lot of risk into your body and potential injury. Thank you for this morning. That was a good wee class. If you don't mind me saying so, I was needing that. Have a good day, and I'll see you later.